Welcome back. Recall this is the rule for straight lines. It's the gradient-intercept form and the y is by itself. It tells us two crucial pieces of information about a straight line. It tells us about the gradient and it tells us about whether or not what the y-intercept is. Now, one of the exercises on Mathletics helps us practice this idea, and it's an important one to get the hang on. Here it is. So we've got to match the rule to the straight lines. There's a few things. It's really a process of figuring out the information. In these questions, the y is by itself. So the number in front of the x tells us the gradient, and the other number tells us the y-intercept. Now, these three lines, notice they all have different y-intercepts, and notice two of them go down when we move in the positive x direction, these two, and this one goes up in the positive x direction. So this one here has a positive gradient. Now the number in front of x here, although it's a fraction, it's negative, and this one's a negative fraction as well. This is the only one with a positive gradient, and notice also it has a -2 y-intercept, so that goes there. Now we've got to figure out which goes which here. Now they've got different y-intercepts, so that's the easiest thing to do. This one has a y-intercept of +1. This line doesn't work because its y-intercept is 2, so this goes over here. See the y-intercept there? It's halfway between 0 and 2, so that's the one. And this one goes here. Alright, well, let's have another go. So, well, all these lines are positive slopes, so we can't tell straight away which is which. Obviously, the steepest line must have the biggest gradient. Which line's the steepest? This purple line. Which number in front of x is the biggest? 1/3, 1/2, 2? Well, it's 2. This one has to go over here. It's confirmed because look at the y-intercept 4. Y-intercept 4. What about the other two? Well, they have different y-intercepts, so this one has a y-intercept between 0 and 2, so that's got a y-intercept of 1, and this one has a y-intercept between 4 and 6, so that must be 5. So that's the one with 5. On it goes, and the other one goes over here. So you don't have to work out everything perfectly, but it's a really good exercise to make yourself understand what's going on. What about these straight lines? Which two are positive gradients? Well, that's not. So it must be these two. And so look, there's a positive gradient, negative gradient, positive gradient. Well, the negative one must go over here. That's 2. Notice its y-intercept is -5. Yep, that's between -4 and -6, so that's the right one. Now, once again, I often use the idea of steepness. So the steeper a line, the bigger the number in front of x in terms of its size. That's certainly very steep. Now, that's not so steep. Now, the number in front of x is the gradient, that's 1/4, and this one's a 2. Well, it has to be the steepest one. So it goes there, and I can confirm it again. The y-intercept is -3. Here's -2, -4, yeah, it's halfway, so that's it. This one over here, I can confirm it. The y-intercept is 5. There's 4, 5, 6, so yep, that's the right one. Yep, I'm right. I hope that helps you get through this section of the work.